Alrighty.
Hello and welcome to the False Start Fantasy Podcast with your hosts Cameron and Josh. On this week's episode, we are going to talk about our first round of playoffs, Week 17 waiver weapons, and our finals predictions. And before we jump all into that, Josh, how are you doing? And I know we're going to get into that soon.
It's been a week. Sad. Normally I'm used to being on top and unthinkable happened. I lost finally.
Yeah, we'll just go ahead and
Definitely not a great one. I
yeah,
ripped the band-aid off right away. Okay.
yep. We're starting with your matchup versus Ethan. Talk to me. What happened?
Stephon Diggs, he only put up 4 points. That really hurt, especially when you look who's directly across from him and CeeDee Lamb, who only scored basically 30 points more. Um, All my guys, they had okay weeks. Kelsey had a decent game. AJ Brown had a good game. Holmes had a good game. Derrick Henry, not quite what we were expecting for Houston, but still a good game. And then you have everyone else who shit the bed. And it's really sad because I even looked afterwards. Like if I had my optimal lineup, I'd still lose this matchup. Definitely was not a good feeling on that one.
Yeah, Patrick
And
Mahomes,
uh,
Henry, and Kelsey, and Brown really all putting average games when everyone else was bad. Definitely not good for the team.
mhm. And Ethan's team decided to go God mode out of nowhere for whatever reason, so it happens. I wish this would have happened in the regular season, but I can't control how the players do.
Yeah, I texted Ethan some advice. I said pick up and start Daniel Jones because he was still starting Lamar. Yes, Lamar who'd been out for 2 weeks, and I was like, pick up Daniel Jones, start these guys. But he helped this team because he hasn't made a move in some like 6 weeks, which kind of says a lot about how good we said Ethan's team was out of the draft and what he could have done if he
Hmm.
had really been making moves this entire time.
Yeah, if he did, it would have been a two-way race for first place between me and him, easy.
Yeah, kind of like how we were saying during the early few weeks. But congratulations to
Hmm.
Ethan, and especially congratulations to Bandon for being the only person to be willing to bet on Ethan to win this matchup. I think we were all counting him out, and
Yeah,
Bandon was a believer.
we wrote him off, and he didn't write back.
That's exactly right. All right. Well, then we'll go ahead and look at the next matchup we had here, which was Malachi versus Chris. And this one came down to Monday night's game, Chargers versus Colts. Chris needed something like 7 points or something like that from Keenan Allen, and well, he definitely
Hmm.
got that with 21.4 there.
Yeah, this game, I honestly expected it to be a little bit closer. Geno Smith having a horrible week definitely didn't help Malachi's case, and considering how his only other option for running back is Michael Carter, I think, over Samaje Perine, there's not much he could have done, but a good showing from Malachi. Unfortunately, in this case, Chris won, so now we have to deal with his ego.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And I think this is Chris's first time not finishing third place. Am I right on that? And that's in all of his leagues ever.
Um, Second place, he usually gets second. Last year, he made it to the championship where he lost to me.
So Ethan is the one who's going to win it all, is what you're saying.
I mean, Whopper Jr. has to carry on the tradition of a Whopper winning, so.
We'll get into that in a second, but before we continue on with this matchup, I just got a notification on my phone that KU came back, and it is currently 38-38 in the Arkansas KU bowl game right now,
Oh,
as their 2 point conversion was also
holy
successful.
shit. Holy shit. I did not think that happened after that first quarter.
Yeah, Arkansas going up 24-7, I think is what it was in the first quarter. Not what you would expect. And
Yep.
when you take your foot off the gas, this is kind of what happens. So we'll have to keep an eye on that as it goes into overtime with 13 seconds right now on the clock. Maybe KJ Jefferson is Mahomes, maybe not, but I guess we'll find out. But
Find out.
yeah, but we'll go ahead and jump back to this matchup here because we're a fantasy football podcast, at least for this week, and we're going to be talking right now about Geno Smith only put up 12.2 points against the Chiefs, and I know we're both Chiefs fans, but Josh, talk to me about this.
You could tell losing Lockett really hurt the passing game for the Seahawks. It's really just key on DK and maybe a running back, maybe on that one. Chiefs defense showed up to play. Smith was without his arguably number one receiver, at least a 1A, 1B type of situations, and he lost to either the A or B. You decide on how that one is. You can definitely tell they were hurting on offense, and fortunately, that meant Geno just had a bad game. It could have been a lot worse than it was. He did get a touchdown there at the very end, but it's not a good game from Geno.
Yeah, those garbage time points coming in, the touchdown to Noah Fant from Geno, it was really a wow, the Chiefs defense is playing really well today, and it really showed.
Mhm.
Well, then, looking at the other side of this matchup, Chris did put up a respectable 123.4, almost right on the money what he was projected to put up. Guy I really want to highlight here, though, is James Conner put up 25 points. And I don't know if you know this, Josh, but James Conner has kind of been balling out this last few weeks. He's been something like the RB2 over the last 6 games that he has played in. Um, since week 10, he's been the RB5, 14, 4, 4, 12, and 5 last week. And that guy's looking really dominant, especially since it was against Tampa Bay, 19-16 loss. He put up 25 points. James Conner is something of a beast and is looking like a league winner.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with that. He can get it done now without even having to score a touchdown, which Arzo's offense kind of sucks. There's not a guarantee for a touchdown, but definitely a league winner moving forward.
Yeah, and a good day from Keenan Allen. My favorite part of this matchup was that we had Jamar Chase versus T. Higgins. Looked like the coin came up Higgins this week, but I'm hoping for a lot of good things from both those players next week as they'll be playing against the Bills.
Mm, should be a good game.
Yeah, I gotta say my favorite thing though about this, other than that matchup, is the other Bengals player on Malachi's side. Samaje P. Ryan still put up 5.2 points, a respectable amount. I like the attempt from Malachi. He had no other running back options, and so he went with Samaje P. Ryan. And this time it didn't work out. But if Mixon had gone out with an injury, it would have been good. But we'll go ahead and jump into our
Hmm.
championship matchup here, where we have number 3 seed Chris versus the number 4 seed Ethan. And I just got to say, I'm shocked it's these two. I don't know about you, but I'm shocked.
Yeah, I was expecting, if anything, me and Chris. I mean, if you ask me, what would that be? Let's just say 7 weeks ago, I would not have put Chris up here. Most likely, I would have said it would have been you. Unfortunately, you know how things ended up for you in the end of the season. Not to bring back the pain or anything, but
It only hurts as
definitely
the
a
highest
surprising
scorer.
championship. Second highest. Second highest.
Yeah, second high only as the second highest score. It hurts, but I'm
Yeah.
honestly really pumped for both these guys. And my favorite part is that I said at the start of the year,
Mm.
Ethan was my favorite team and Chris was my least favorite. And so if someone wants to make the championship next year, be either my favorite or my least favorite team, because that's the way to do it, I guess.
Apparently so.
Well, we'll go ahead and go down the line here. And I believe that Ethan may have Lamar back, but Starting at quarterback, who are you favoring in this matchup, and how many points more would you expect one player to get over the other?
So for me, I'm just going to assume Danny Jones stays in. I don't think it would change too much even if Lamar would go in. But I'm obviously going to favor Joe Burrow in this case. Buffalo, they're going to have to try to score to keep up. It could be either a really high scoring game or really low scoring, which is the one downside. I think it's going to be a high scoring game, which means naturally the Bengals are going to have to throw quite a bit. So I'll take Burrow on that one. I think Daniel Jones will still do good. I probably expects roughly what he had like last week with around 20 points.
So, about how many more points are you thinking Burrow will score?
Mm, range of 5 to 10, I would say.
Okay. Okay. I'm thinking about the same thing. Cincinnati versus Buffalo should just be an absolute shootout. Should be an amazing game to watch. I'm excited for Monday. Hopefully, those two defenses aren't just going to be um, too dominant and playing like how we know they can. But honestly, the Bills' defense is looking pretty depleted and has not had the life and juice that we have seen from the Bills' defense at least last year and earlier this year. So um, it's going to be a very interesting matchup there. I think that the Bengals are going to win it. I'd also give about a 6 point advantage to um, Chris on that one. I'll go to the running back next, and Fournette versus Connor is of course very interesting. I love the run that James Conner has been on this year, and even with the backup quarterback, I'm going to give about a 5 point advantage to James Conner and that side. But what are you thinking, Josh?
I'm thinking along the same lines. I'm thinking James Conner will have 20-ish points, and Fournette will probably have around 15 unless he scores a touchdown. Um, should be fairly even though if Fournette can get a touchdown as far as points go in that matchup.
Yeah, the other running back matchup we have here is Josh Jacobs versus Kenneth Walker, and I'm gonna take the surprise side. I am gonna take Kenneth Walker over this. I think I would still personally, if they were both in my lineup, I would start Jacobs over Walker. I mean, Jacobs has just been that amazing, but I don't love the back quarterback news that we heard from the Raiders starting Stidham over Carr. Carr's even sent out of the building. I think they're eliminated from playoffs. I'm almost certain they're eliminated from playoffs. And 49ers
Hmm.
front seven is not going to be nice to them. I would take Walker in this, but not by a lot, maybe 2, 3 points.
Yeah, that one, they're both up against tough defenses, so that doesn't help this case. Seattle's just simply going to have to rely on Walker just a little bit more. And he even showed it. He was having a really bad like first half to three quarters against the Chiefs, and then he turned it on. All he needs to do is just get that one increase, and he has a good week for you. So I'd also take Walker. I'm going to say he has. You know what? I think he gets a touchdown. I'm going to say 10 points better than Jacobs.
Wow. Okay. Walker, hoping for a big game from him. I'd like to hear it because I'm definitely starting him in another league that I have. The next matchup we had is CeeDee Lamb versus Jamar Chase. Josh, I'm throwing to you first because I need time to think about this.
Yeah, this one's a tough one. Really just depends how much Dallas has to throw. You know if Ryan Tannehill's going to play.
No,
You
he's
heard any
out.
news on that one?
Tannehill is
Shit,
out.
this makes it that much harder. I'm going to take Jamar Chase ahead of Lamb by 2 points because we saw with last week's matchup between him and Higgins, it's a coin flip which one has the better week for the most part. And I'm just going to say 2 points ahead just in case it is a Higgins week. Outside of Dallas is they're probably not going to have to throw a lot just because the offense without a competent quarterback. Henry's good. He can't do it all. So they're probably just not going to have to throw nearly as much. However, Tennessee, the way you beat them is still through the air, so there is some upside with that one potentially.
Yeah, it's oh man, I really don't like the Titans secondary. I don't think they've been developing players there that can really stand up to NFL wide receivers, and CeeDee Lamb has really been playing well. Thursday night game, we know the Cowboys are healthy. We know the Titans are not. This could be just an absolute stop for the Cowboys. I don't know how much they'll need to pass the ball, but if they do, CeeDee Lamb's got that. But on the other side, Jamar Chase, just like you're saying, I am not going to bet against that guy, and Bill's secondary is not what it's been. So, oh man, I think I would say actually 2 points to CeeDee Lamb, but I am personally hoping Jamar Chase does better because I want the Bills to lose for the Chiefs, and I want the Jamar Chase to put up 300 points this week because I got him in another league.
Fair enough.
So we have that one pretty much as a tie. I said 2 points to Lamb. You said 2 points to Chase. The next one here is the rookies from Ohio State, Chris Olave versus Garrett Wilson. And I am not certain that Chris Olave is playing. If he is, they're up against the Eagles secondary, who have been amazing, and the Saints offense has been anything but. So I would take Wilson by at least 8 points in this one.
Yeah, I'm taking Garrett Wilson whether or not Olave plays, simply because Mike White is back. The Zach Wilson era is done, thank God. And now we're back to the Mike White era. I'm going to take Wilson over Olave by another 10 points. Even that's assuming Olave even plays in the first place. I can see Garrett Wilson having a 25 to 30 point week.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, it's definitely favored to Wilson in this one, and I think there was a reason he was drafted first, as well as on a better team. Everything just seemed to be pointing to him. But next matchup we had here is
if Zach Wilson was playing, different story.
Yeah, definitely.
Tight ends.
Yeah, so go ahead. I'll let you go first again here. Waller versus Juwan Johnson.
I'm going to say Juwan Johnson. This sounds crazy considering how it's Waller, one of the best tight ends in the league, but your quarterback, we don't know what his tendencies are. Also up against arguably the best defense in the league with the 49ers. Usually for Philly, one of the best ways to beat them is with your tight end. So hopefully Johnson can get a touchdown because he's a touchdown reliant tight end. I just don't think Waller has a good game considering the matchup and his QB issues. So I'm going to say Johnson by 4.
Wow, that's pretty bold picking him by 4. I think I'm going to stick with Waller. Since he's been back, he's been the tight end 4 and the tight end 12 in those two games. Juwan Johnson was the tight end 2 against the Falcons, but I'm just not betting against the Eagles defense. Those guys have been really locked down, and they're playing to secure that first round bye. I think I'm going to be going with Waller here. Not by a lot, but I think I'll maybe say 3 points. So another favored to Chris in this matchup. Looking at the flex position, Christian Watson versus Keenan Allen. Don't love either of these two matchups, but I just don't believe in the Vikings secondary. I think I would take Christian Watson by 4 points.
It sounds crazy to say that, but I'm with you. I'm going up it to 6 points because I think he gets a few touchdowns this game. Anybody's going to have to throw. They're trying to win. They're still in the playoff contention, which sounds weird to say. So, yeah. Allen, he's good. However, he's going to have the just forgot that cornerback's name in LA. Ramsey experience.
Ramsey, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll definitely be an interesting one there. And kickers and defense, I think Ethan better pick up a different defense. Vikings defense has not been any good. Ravens should be pretty good there, though.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so looking like we went down the line. We said 4-point favorite to Chris in the quarterback, 5 in the running back to Chris, 8 in the wide receiver 2 spot to Chris, and 3-point in the tight end spot to Chris when we're adding ours together. And then on Ethan's side, we said he had an advantage at the RB1 spot with the, or RB2, sorry. RB2 spot, 10-point advantage there, and then the wide receiver 2 spot. Sorry, wow, I cannot talk. The flex spot, 5-point advantage there. I swear I wrote these things down normally. Cannot read them right now, but looking like we're favoring Chris right now as we give him the edge in four of the matchups, and Ethan two of them. We had a tie at the wide receiver 1 spot, but should be an interesting matchup. I'll let you go first, Josh. Who do you think's winning?
Um, my heart, I'm cheering for Ethan. I really hope he can beat Chris. One, so we don't have to deal with Chris's ego. Two, he's the one that beat me, so and he is Whopper Jr., so having another Whopper as the champion is just fitting. Realistically, I see Chris just barely beating him. Hopefully, Ethan has another one of those weeks like he did last week, where he all of his players decided to go God mode, but I don't think that's going to be the case this week. But I think it's going to be close.
Yeah, and my championship roster in a dynasty league I'm in, I have way too many players as Ethan is starting this week, so I'm hoping Ethan's team does really well here. So he does better when we doubt him. So I'm also going to say Chris is going to win this one. He's just got a better team, and I think Burrow Chase is just going to put up too many points to be dealt with. And fingers crossed on that one. But we'll go ahead and move on to the waiver weapons. Last week we had Gardner Minshew as a hit, QB5. Chigoziem Okonkwo was a miss at tight end 48. Brock Purdy was a hit at QB 13. Zach Moss a miss, RB 34. And of course, Marquise Goodwin had his one target that he did not catch and put up 0 points after the injury, bringing our total so far to the season with me with 9 hits, 5 misses. Josh, you had 7 hits, 6 misses, and the guests 3 hits. Congratulations to Brock Purdy being the third one there, and 11 misses. Definitely wasn't our best showing this year from the guests on our show with the waiver weapons, but I think you and I did pretty good.
Yeah, we're both above 50%, so I'll take it. I still would want to know how Ryan Top of the Hill would have done that one week I'd chosen, but he didn't play. But above 50%, so I'll take it considering how a lot of times these are people no one wants.
Yeah, I think that's exactly it. It just comes down to the fact that these guys aren't rostered for a reason, and I think a lot of people would be looking at them and saying, yeah, they're not rostered in my league too. But we'll go ahead and jump into this week's waiver weapons, and we'll start it with yours, Josh.
So the one I chose is Isaiah Hodgins. This is a receiver for the Giants, so probably the odds are most of you guys have never heard of him. I didn't hear of him until this last week. Andrew Jones has got to throw to somebody. I think, I don't know, at this point, I feel like I could try out for the Giants and have a realistic shot at becoming a wide receiver.
What's your
For
40
those of
time?
you who are wondering, um, only need an hour clock for that one, so we'll go with that. But basically, I think he scored a touchdown. He had a pretty good week last week, so I'm hoping he can continue that. He has a decent matchup, so maybe he has another good week, hopefully. So that's kind of what I'm banking on in this case.
Yeah, I just got a notification that in overtime, and I've got to be looking at this wrong. Looks like there was a touchdown. My phone says KU scored the touchdown, but it looks like it was Arkansas who scored. Maybe it was a pick six. It might have been a pick six.
I say right now it's showing second overtime for me. Let's see. Give me a second.
Oh no, it
Here.
was a touchdown to KU. Looks like. Does that mean KU wins? I don't know how college football overtime works. Sorry for the podcast listeners. We're experiencing this together, but
They both get a shot. Okay, so I got the game pulled up on my phone right now. Arkansas is ahead. KU players hurt. 47, I think it's defense.
Makes sense.
And I'll keep you updated if something happens.
Okay. Oh, I see. So overtime, in the first overtime, they both scored. Now they're in the second overtime, and Arizona has scored once. Seeing what's going to happen when KU gets the ball now.
So right now they have to go for two. Arkansas is on their 2-point conversion right now. Let's see how well I can do by play. Snap, I don't know guys' names. Looks like a throw. Oh, he's scrambling to the right, and 2-point conversion is good to number 13, whatever the hell his name is.
Poop.
Really,
They were
it
doing
helps
better
if
when
I
I
know
wasn't paying
names for
attention.
players. Yep. Now, okay, you would have to score a touchdown and get the 2-point conversion.
Okay. Well, I guess we'll see what ends up happening. Before, we'll go ahead and switch back to the podcast. Anything else to add about Isaiah Hodgins?
He's a wide receiver for the Giants. They gotta throw to someone. Maybe it's him again. Question mark, maybe.
Well, you know, maybe Daniel Jones does not have the best crew in front of him. This guy maybe has earned himself the targets, and we'll go ahead and jump to my pick here, where we got Noah Fant. And really, the biggest reason for why I think Noah Fant has a chance to be superstar here, despite the extra information there on the right, is the fact that Will Disley is on IR, and Tyler Lockett is at least expected to be out. And if he's not out, we'll definitely have a reduced role in the offense. And I think it's finally time for Noah Fant to show that he is as good as his workout metrics there say. This guy is just absolutely elite tight end prospect, and we're coming into his fourth year now. Yeah, fourth year in the league. He's got a good
Wow.
quarterback who's willing to throw for a while, and it's just he hasn't been able to put it all together to put up an elite tight end season. And I think it's about time that he goes ahead and shows that. The team traded for him when they traded Russell Wilson away, and I think now he has a chance to do it.
Yeah, I like that pick.
Yeah, this was definitely a good year for the elite tight end prospects. David Njoku had a breakout year this year, and he was one of those first-round pick a while ago. We had Evan Ingram finally returning on his draft capital that was spent on him a few years ago, and he's a good prospect on the Jaguars. Really looking forward to see what he can keep doing there, as that team is scary going into next year, and maybe even a little scary in the playoffs here, but that concludes it for our waiver weapons, and that actually does it for our show this week. A little bit shorter show as we didn't have as many matchups to go into. A playoff preview was a little bit different with only the one matchup, but we will be back next week after week 17 ends so that we can recap the finals. But then after that, Josh and I will be adjusting to a new schedule for the show. With only week 18 in the playoffs, after that, we will be adjusting to a more NFL non fantasy podcast for a few weeks, talking about playoffs and what that's going to look like for the Chiefs when they're going to be winning the Super Bowl this year. And
Oh,
looking
yeah.
at looking at what the playoffs is going to be like on the NFC side, because I think it's pretty much up in the air with the Cowboys just beating the Eagles. But I'm really excited for the playoffs this year. A lot of good teams, a lot of new teams. It should be pretty exciting.
Should be.
All right, so after that, we'll be moving into our dynasty discussions as well as recapping this year. And Josh and I can do a little research, figure out what we can give you some takes about what we think of the draft class and what this year is going to look like. But make sure that you subscribe and turn on the bell on YouTube so you'll be notified for our next episode, and so that, of course, you can be ready before the ball is snapped. Josh, you got anything else to add before we close out?
Go Chiefs.
Go Chiefs. All right. You can find us on Twitter at Josh Newshaver and at Cameron's Ego. Thank you all, and goodbye.